What incredible things happen when you stop settling for a life that looks good on paper and start choosing one that feels alive with the dreams and desires you haven't claimed yet. It's your host, Katie Kay, artist, mentor, entrepreneur, founder of the Creator Code, and mentor for women ready for the best chapter of their life. Are you ready for more? Fuck yes. Let's go, my loves. Hello. Wow, we have reached a bit of a milestone for a couple of reasons. It's episode 10, and it's also my introduction to something really important. I'm really excited to share this with you today. I want to start by sharing a little about my childhood. I may have touched on it before. I really can't remember everything that I've spoken about in my episodes to date. But I grew up in an unusual family, a family of artists. I wasn't allowed to listen to pop music. We were a classical music only family. We didn't watch a lot of TV. We didn't own a VCR or a microwave or a car. My life was about being creative, and our family outings were to my parents' friends' houses who were also artists. And I would sit and read or draw in these eclectic homes and art studios and listen to adult conversations about art. I really didn't know what cool was. There wasn't anything about my life at the time that was cool or fitted in with my schoolmates or the lives that they were living. We didn't go on family holidays. All of our clothes were either homemade or thrifted. And this gave me a backstage pass to the inner lives of other creators from a very early age. And I have also lived my own creative saga. I was an actress turned designer, turned photographer, turned coach. And the combination of my lived experience with all of the experiences and stories that I have seen and breathed and collected has formed an encyclopedia inside me of creativity. And that's not even all of it. My favorite ever birthday present that I ever got as a kid was a set of 72 Derwent colouring pencils in a 2-layer tin from my grandmother. I remember my parents thinking that it was an awful lot of pencils and why would I need that many? But I can assure you, I used them all and I actually still have the remnants of that collection of pencils. My parents used to keep all my good drawings and stick them into a book and write the dates with pencil at the bottom of each page. And in my journey, it wasn't just actress, designer, photographer, coach. I also chefed my way through a backpacking adventure. I was privately commissioned by artists in my early 20s to make sketchbooks and portfolios for them. And I started a jewellery line in the early days of Etsy. It's really been a rich life of creativity. I have so many stories, I don't really know what to share and what not to share and where to start. But I think that gives a pretty good background of who I am and how I came to be here on this podcast sharing these things with you. And also how I came to share the thing that I'm going to share today, which is really big and new. Somewhere in between all of the transitions and thresholds that I've lived through, I found myself in a really hard place. And it wasn't the only time I've been in a hard place, but it's the most relevant to this episode and to this share today. I had started my photography business. It was harder than I ever imagined. And in those early years of working out how to work for myself, how to make something of myself, how to achieve success, what I even thought success was, how to manage myself within a framework outside of a 9-to-5 world. There was so much that I had to figure out. I found success, but it was at a really big cost. It cost me a marriage. It cost me my mental health. And honestly, it really just cost me my joy and my passion. My artistic childhood wasn't all fun either. My parents were artists, but their families crossed oceans for their freedom. And my ancestors overcame survival and hardship, and that was baked into my journey too. And this journey of unlearning and relearning and figuring things out through the lens of that survival and hardship went on for years in my life. Last year, when I was in the middle of restructuring, rebuilding my entire photography business so that I could step out of it, finally, after 2 steps forwards and 2 steps back for many years, I had this bizarre experience. I still don't know exactly how to word this, but the easiest way I can explain it is I had a download in the shower. It was quick. It didn't make a lot of sense at the time, and it felt like really bad timing because I was so busy. I was working really long hours. I had big goals. I had a lot to do. I didn't have time for new stuff. I was trying to focus on finishing the task at hand, which was a huge task. But this work dropped in at exactly the right time, exactly at the threshold of the new chapter that I was entering, when I was finally ready to step into my true purpose, my new purpose, the thing that I found underneath all of the other layers that I'd been working through for years. And this isn't being a photographer, and it's not running a business. It's not even being an entrepreneur. It's being a permission artist. It's embodying a very specific frequency, and it's helping others do the same. It's the fuck yes life. It's the unforgettable fuck yes life that I am building for myself and that I want to help other women build for themselves too. And so this download that hit me in the shower was the start of this mission, the fruition of all of the thoughts and feelings and frustrations and fears that I'd been having for many years as I worked through my own struggles, my own hardship, my own survival. And it's called the Creator Code. The Creator Code is a framework and a methodology built on a single central truth. And that is that every creator who achieves inevitable, enduring, sustainable success does so not because of their talent or skills, but because of 3 capacities that they have cultivated within themselves. And before I explain those, I just want to say what a creator is, because that's a very specific word that I've chosen to use in this framework. A creator is anybody who makes and builds things in the world. That can include teachers, entrepreneurs, leaders, artists, creatives, anyone on a mission, anyone with passion. We're all creators, but we don't all choose to walk that path. Now let me get back to the capacities. There are 3 capacities. They are grit, self-responsibility, and genius. And I'm going to paint each one for you. Grit is devotion, direction, and staying power. All of the capacities have an archetype, and the archetype of highly developed grit is the eternal flame. Grit is masculine energy represented by fire that's grounded and supported by earth. In astrology, it's Aries and Capricorn energy, the courage to begin and the endurance to continue. Grit doesn't burn out. It's this unique blend of mission, passion, and persistence. Just have a think about grit right now. Do you feel it? Do you have it? Is it a quality that you immediately think, yes, I know what that is. I know what that means. A lot of us mistaken it for pushing, for hustle, for trying hard, for working hard. And while it can have that or those qualities as a result, that's not what grit is. Now, I personally didn't have to learn grit. I was born with it. And maybe you were too. It came with my family lineage. But for years, grit without the other two capacities meant that I was living in its shadow, which is the lone wolf. I was burning bright, but alone. And what I know now as I look back, and also as I pay attention to myself as I move through this new chapter, is that grit was the thing that never let me give up, even in the moments that I desperately wanted to. I was always pulled back to the devotion that I had to my purpose, to my why. You know what grit feels like in your body. If it's something that exists in you strongly, you know the feeling. It's the moment when you wanted to give up, but you didn't. And I wouldn't be here today without that quality. The next capacity is genius. Genius is your voice, your story, and its transmission. The archetype of highly developed genius is the wild spark. Genius is feminine energy, and it's represented by air supported by water. In astrology, it's Mercury lit up by Uranus and flowing through Neptune, with beautiful qualities there of voice, communication, insights, innovation, and imagination. Your genius can't be forced or manufactured. It flows through you. One of my experiences of genius is that when I first became a photographer, I tried to shoot like everyone else. I tried to replicate what was selling. I studied it. I paid close attention to photographers that were successful in my genre. And I became technically proficient. I became bookable. I became competent. But the kind of success that I was looking for, and the kind of success that most creators are looking for, the kind that actually changes the direction of your life, it didn't come until I stopped trying to be like everyone else. Until I stopped trying to look like the industry and started letting my own voice and my own way of seeing come through in my work. And when that happened, when I became unmistakably myself, everything changed. And that's not a story about photography, that's a story about genius. And it's actually available to every single human on the planet, including you. The third capacity is self-responsibility. And that is your inner authority, self-knowledge, and ownership. The archetype of highly developed self-responsibility is the wayfinder. Self-responsibility is a perfect balance of masculine and feminine together. It's represented by earth and it's supported by water. In tarot, it's the Hierophant card, your inner teacher, the wisdom that comes from within, and the star, which is gentle self-trust and hope rooted in self-connection. Self-responsibility is about being in a loving relationship with yourself. That's knowing yourself, trusting yourself, and holding yourself. And I really know what happens when that capacity is missing because I lived it. I mentioned earlier that my early success came at a cost. It was a marriage, my mental health, and my joy and passion. This early success cost me everything. And it set in motion a journey of unlearning and relearning that went on for many years. I mistook drive for direction and output for aliveness. And by the time I understood what was happening, what I'd done, I was deep in burnout. And the journey back from that wasn't a strategy shift or a coach or a rebrand. It was a really hard, unglamorous reorientation of my whole life. I had to sit with all the things that I'd avoided. I had to take ownership of patterns that I'd inherited and that I had amplified, that I had taken as what I should do, that I had felt were mine when really they were just conditioning. And I had to learn to trust my own inner knowing over all these external voices. And that was really hard because the voices were strong and they told me what my life should look like. And I didn't really know how to listen to my inner knowing. No one ever taught me that. So the development of my self-responsibility felt like my hero's journey because it actually showed me how to embody the full creator code before I knew what that was, before that came through. And that's why this came through. That's why I can teach this. And that's why I know that we all can get here and get to this place and embody the code. So what usually happens with capacities is that we are born with one that outpaces the other two. And if we're not born with one, we usually learn it pretty quickly. That's the journey that we take into the things that we love and the things that we want, following our desires and passions. And sometimes along the way too, we learn a second one. The truth is that we are taught to focus on the wrong things. I mean, the way we're schooled, the way we're taught business. Most of us, the lessons that we've learned along the way are not actually the lessons that we needed to learn. Am I right? Like, does that resonate? You learned some stuff and then later you realized, oh, that wasn't the stuff I should have learned. And then you learned some new stuff. So we're not really taught to focus on things like this. We're taught to focus on building a life, building a good life, building a career, earning money, accumulating the things that we're supposed to accumulate, checking boxes. And I'm not saying those things are wrong. There are plenty of incredible things that we learn and accumulate that are part of society's conditioning. But we're not taught to focus on the inner work. Most of us end up coming to it because we're forced into it by a challenge, a hardship, illness, or a huge change in our lives that is thrust upon us that we didn't choose. So when the capacities are imbalanced, the three capacities, when they're imbalanced, bottlenecks appear, which block mission and vision and ultimately limit your success and impact in the world. And in the creator code, this is where shadow archetypes emerge. So for example, if a creator has grit and genius, but lacks self-responsibility, it can lead to burnout. If a creator has genius and self-responsibility, but lacks grit, it can result in stalling, this kind of like stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back, and not actually moving. And if a creator has grit and self-responsibility, but hasn't claimed their genius, then it can lead to this kind of vanilladom. The gap is not a flaw. It's not a problem. It's a gap in capacity, and it can be learned and developed. And they're called capacities because they're expandable. The Creator Code methodology develops all three capacities so that over time you move towards what is called the Sovereign Alchemist. This is the fully embodied expression of the complete code. And in real life, that looks like, for example, a business going gangbusters with dream clients, effortless revenue, and your personal satisfaction through the roof. And that can also look like a career where you land your dream job and everything is just absolutely peachy and you're loving your life. Every part of your life is humming with purpose and fulfillment when you're in this state. It's the unforgettable fuck yes life that I keep going on about. That's the destination. Creators are bringers of change and connection and insight. The world doesn't actually need more creators with better business skills. We can get that anywhere, anytime, especially right now. The world needs creators who are unfucking stoppable. The world needs creators who are unshakable in their mission and vision and their unique voice. The creator code isn't mine. It came through me, but it belongs to you. It belongs to every creator who has ever felt the gap between what they're making and what they know they're capable of. To every artist who ever dimmed their voice trying to sound like someone else. To every entrepreneur who burned out because they accidentally lit a bonfire instead of taking care of a steady flame. And to every healer and teacher who stalled because they hadn't yet claimed their power and authority. The creator code is for all of us. And it's actually what we were always building towards. It's the missing piece. It's what we've been looking for. And the first act of claiming that is knowing where you are in the code. And I'm going to share how you do that in just a moment. But I want to give you the Cliff Notes version. So a creator is anyone who's making or building things. Teachers, coaches, leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, you're all creators. Everyone's a creator. And this isn't just about your business or your career. This is about your whole life. We can't really separate one from the other. It's all mixed up together. There are 3 capacities: grit, self-responsibility, and genius. You probably have one of them leading your life. That's your archetype. And that's also where your shadow can emerge. And one of them is probably a bottleneck. And that's also where your shadow can emerge. The goal is to develop all 3 and have them equally balanced. This puts you on the path to inevitable success, which puts you on the path to the unforgettable fuck yes life. And sure, you can get there other ways, but those ways are going to require you moving through some really hard shit. Burnout, collapse, survival mode, losing things and people you care about, dissatisfaction. It's the hard road. I know because I've been on it for a big part of my life, and I still never really got to the place I wanted to go, even though I can say I had some success. I built an incredibly successful business. I got really close to 7 figures. I bought a house. I started a family. I have a successful marriage. I've done a lot of good shit, but most of it has come through really hard work. The creator code is the way to get to the unforgettable fuck yes life through inner work that propels you forwards to your dreams and desires and your values and your mission. The methodology is mine. It's nervous system work in a completely new way, in a different way to how anybody else teaches it. It's parts work in a different way to how anybody else teaches it. It's creative self-expression and unlocking that. And it's all with the body as an entry point. Everything that I've shared in this episode lives inside a free 10-minute orientation quiz that will show you exactly where you are inside the creator code right now. It will show you your capacity levels, so it'll give you a score for grit, self-responsibility, and genius. It will show you your archetype, which archetype is leading your life right now. It will show you your shadow if that's present, and it will show you where the work is, where your next threshold is. It's not a personality quiz, it's a map. It's a map of who you are right now, and it's a map of who you're becoming. And the link to take the quiz is in the show notes. Go take it. Find out where you are. Let me know how it felt. I would love to hear your feedback. My email list and my Instagram has been buzzing with this for the past 7 days. I launched it on my birthday last week. It's really exciting to see it coming to life in the world. There is so much more to come after the quiz. I can't wait for you to find out about that. I can't wait for you to find out where you are, to unlock some of the questions that you might have been wanting to know for a long time, to break some of the patterns that might have been running the show that you're sick of, that you want to move on from. And I can't wait to be there with you by your side to help you through this if you'll have me as your guide. So I'm going to leave you with a question this week. If you knew that success was inevitable, how different would your life feel? If you knew you didn't have to fight so hard anymore, how different would your life feel? If you could remove every single one of the things that are in between you and the life you want, how would it feel? If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I can't wait to hear how you go. That's it for this week. Bye.